All right, so welcome to this week's Unikernel application spotlight. This week we're looking at UnisonDB. So UnisonDB is an interesting little project. I think I just found this today and was kind of toying around with it. But one of the key features this database does is it combines your normal B-trees with a kind of a streaming feature. And so it has a key value stored and that persists disks using your B trees, but then you can also stream it out and it'll use things like 0MQ for doing change notifications. It ships out walls. So it's kind of interesting, and it's the more I was kind of diving into it, the more interesting I thought it was. So this is their GitHub. It's written in Go, but like I said, it uses 0MQ for notifications. So if you want instant notifications of certain things, and this little graphic does a pretty decent job of explaining how this works. Basically, you got your KB, think like a Redis or something like that. It pops in, it goes ahead and writes to these WAL files, and obviously this little demarcation down here is your disk, up here is your memory, and then it flushes them out. But you can also stream them. Now, when it writes these, it's actually using flat buffers because it's zero copy. And so they put some benchmarks here. It does have transactions that you can use. It's not just normal payloads, but you can do large objects and you can do your wide columns as well. It even has this little WAL-fs to implement their to implement their logs. It's pretty interesting. I guess some of the motivation behind this was, if you think kind of more distributed systems, it has a couple primitives, and we're going to show you these that uses CRDTs, or conflict-free replicated data types. In particular, you have things like last writer wins. And so, as they point out, think like user profiles or configuration settings. On a bigger system, you might have multiple writes incoming, and it's you just want to say, hey, whatever the last one is, so it can use that. And then there's things like row only counters. So think like GitHub stars, page views, that sort of stuff. And there's lots of interesting use cases here. We're gonna dive into it. If you want to run it as a Nanos Unikernel, which is probably why you're watching this TV show, this is the package. So it's just UnisonDB. I didn't find a version. I think Anchor, who's the author, he's busy working on it, and it's 2 hours ago, so it was midnight for him. In Bengaluru, I think is where he's from. So let's go ahead and check it out. We're gonna pop open to the shell, and we're gonna spin it up. And there's a few ports that you can listen in on. For this demo, we're just gonna show you the main API port. Oh, one thing I didn't go over was, and let me just show you this real quick. There's two modes that you can operate it in. One is just kind of like your primary type of mode, and then the other one is like if you're replicating. And so there's lots of different ways to configure this too. But what we can start with is just showing some quick examples here. Let me see if I can just cut and paste from here. Got your health. So here we go. Yeah. So this is a sample of just a normal key write. And so as you can see, we're just posting up a key. It's going to stick it by default into this one namespace, which has support for multiple ones. And so we have a user, maybe the ID is 123, and we give it this base64 encoded value. The IP address that we're going to be talking to is 192.168.144. I think. To write, basically we're just going to do something like 192.168.144, and then let's just take out these guys. And so as you can see, we're posting base64. It says success. Okay, so if we want to get the key back out, let's do a silent. Let's do a xget, and we don't need this body anymore. And so we might want to pop it to JQ, and so we can get our key back out, right? So that's your basic key value, right? But they have these, like I said, they have some interesting primitives that we can kind of show what you can kind of do that's a little bit cooler. So we mentioned these last writer wins. This is slightly different syntax, but as an example here, in this 80 campaign DC1, this is just that namespace where it's going to say default. I'm going to change our IP again, 144. And so we have a last writer wins. We prefix that, and so maybe this is the user status. Maybe it's a phone checking in type of thing. And so we can go ahead and write that to the correct port. That is 40,000. So that's the example of using last writer wins. Updating the user status. But they also have our grow only counters, and so I think they have an example of that as well. Yeah, right here. And so, for instance, maybe we have a way to track page views, and so we only want to grow the page view that we see, right? 4,000. We're gonna stick it from default, and so we're just gonna increment them. We do that, and 192.168.144, and success. So there's lots of really interesting things going on in this, and some more real world use cases that he goes over. Presence, distributed analytics, feature flags. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's a kind of a really interesting collection of various capabilities. But it's that ability to talk to your basic B-trees and then also stream at the same time. He even talks about why the difference is. Because you have your LMDBs and your multi-Bs, it's fast, it's local, but you got no replication. You got your etcd and your consoles, and you got your cluster group membership, but no querying, and then you got Kafka and Nats, but no necessary storage there. So yeah, this is a really interesting project. I don't know how new it is, so I guess 9 months. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool. And it's written in Go, and now you can run UnisonDB as a Nanos Unikernel. So till next week, catch you guys later.